So this is Acts chapter 25 and going from verse 13 through to 27. So Paul has been with Festus and the Jews have accused him. Paul has been and Festus has said, "Are you willing to go up to Jerusalem to stand trial?" And Paul says, effectively, he says, "No, I'm not. I'm in a Roman trial. I'm not going to go to a Jewish trial." And I think he's thinking, because I know they're going to kill me on the way. "I appeal to Caesar." And Festus says, "Well, if you've appealed to Caesar you'll go." And now, when several days had elapsed, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea and paid their respects to Festus, the new kid on the block, the new ruler in Caesarea. And while they were spending many days there, Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying, "There is a man who was left as a prisoner by Felix, and when I was at Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews brought charges against him, asking for a sentence of condemnation against him. I answered them that it is not the custom of the Romans to hand over any man before the accused meets his accusers face to face and has an opportunity to make his defence against the charges. So after they had assembled here, I didn't delay, but on the next day took my seat on the tribunal and ordered the man to be brought before me. When the accusers stood up, they began bringing charges against him, not of such crimes as I was expecting, but they simply had some points of disagreement about with him about their own religion and about a dead man, Jesus, whom Paul asserted to be alive. Being at a loss how to investigate such a matter, I asked whether he was willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial on these matters. But when Paul appealed to be held in custody for the emperor's decision, I ordered him to be kept in custody until I sent him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said to Festus, "I also would like to hear this man for myself." "Tomorrow," he said, "tomorrow you shall hear him." So on the next day, when Agrippa came together with Bernice amid great pomp and amid the auditorium, and entered the auditorium accompanied by the commanders and the prominent men of the city at the command of Festus, Paul was brought in. Festus said, "King Agrippa, and all you gentlemen here present with us, you see this man about whom all the people of the Jews appealed to me, both at Jerusalem and here, loudly declaring that he ought not to live any longer. But I found that he had committed nothing worthy of death, and since he himself appealed to the emperor, I decided to send him. Yet I've got nothing definite about him to write to my lord. Therefore, I have brought him before you all, and especially before you, King Agrippa, so that after the investigation has taken place, I may have something to write. For it seems absurd to me, in sending a prisoner to indicate also the charges against him." So we've got this situation where King Agrippa turns up, and with Bernice, who I'm not sure whether she was his wife or his sister, and he says, "Oh, this sounds interesting. I'll have a listen to this. I'll listen to it." And King Agrippa is pretty pleased because although Paul has appealed to Caesar, Felix is not sure what he's been accused of. So he wants to get something to write down to send with Paul up to Rome, so he doesn't look a complete idiot sending somebody up who's appealed against some accusation which he doesn't really understand anyway. So this is all part of God's plan for Paul, and now he's before Agrippa, and in fact he's been brought. It says Agrippa came with Bernice with great pomp, and they entered the auditorium. So here we are. Paul has been brought into this auditorium to answer the charges and say what this is all about. And you know, Paul this is his opportunity to preach the gospel. And that's exactly what he does. And we'll have a look at that next.